Hey now, we are getting over, and I am the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, here to lead you through these hard times. With your 2025 WWE Royal Rumble instant analysis. That's right, Getting Over is back once again, and we are here just moments after the 2025 WWE Royal Rumble went off the air to break down every single thing that happened on WWE's first premium live event of the year, with the road to WrestleMania 41 officially underway. Vintage Chris Vanini will be along for the ride momentarily. He is actually on a ride right now, going back from Lucas Oil Stadium to his, I believe, parents-in-law's home somewhere in Indianapolis. He will be on this program to tell you exactly what it was like to experience this Royal Rumble live. I presume way better than the 2024 Royal Rumble that I attended in Tampa, Florida. I can tell you, just watching from TV, I had a better time on my couch this year than I did live in attendance last year. We're going to get to him. We're going to get to the show momentarily. Off the top, allow the Silver King to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about the five.
So please, folks,
stop being marks for yourselves and go back to being a mark for me.
Go back to being marks for the Silver King. For Vintage, head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Leave a 5-star rating on Apple. Take a little extra time. Leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel at Getting Overcast. Not only do you get full audio episodes on there, tons of interview clips from a bunch of conversations we've had over the last few years, and a brand new slew of interviews on video to come beginning in 2025. We're already a month into the year. We have some stuff set up in February and beyond. At this time, because it is an instant analysis episode, we tend to celebrate a little. It's also generally late at night, so it is time for the Silver King to crack open a cold one. You won't hear the can popping. I already poured it into a glass. I have Catching Smoke, a smoked lager from Magnanimous Brewing, ironically enough, in Tampa, Florida. Love this brewery. They're big wrestling fans over there. It's pretty damn cool, and this is a delicious beverage. As we wait for Vintage to crack open his cold beverage, if he indeed has one, let's take care of a little bit more business. Allow the Silver King to remind you to follow us on social media at Getting Overcast on Twitter, at Getting Over on Blue Sky. You get episode drops, news, analysis, a ton of highlights, and much more. You can also send in questions and comments for the show. And on nights like this, premium live events and pay-per-views, you get to vote in our pre- and post-show polls, and we will factor in your analysis of the Royal Rumble with our final analysis at the end of the episode when we give a final grade for WWE's first premium live event of the year. Please also remember,
I happen to love the number 5.
and I hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You will get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, instant reactions to every major show, and exclusive news analysis posts every week. Again, that is buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Looks like Vintage has found his chair and microphone. Chris, welcome to the show, having finally returned from the Royal Rumble in Indianapolis. Right off the bat, do you have a cold beverage there?
I do not. Drove back to my wife's parents' place outside of Indy, where I've been staying, getting up pretty early tomorrow morning to drive back to Detroit. I am tired, but I had a good night. I do not have a cold one, though.
Completely fair, not only considering the fact that we've had to do this in a much tougher way, much more difficult way to record this show than we ever have before, and we need to get right through it. Chris, we're going to talk about everything involving the Royal Rumble, but briefly off the top, since you were there in attendance, I had a couple really close friends there as well. They told me they had an incredible time. One of them went with me to the show in Tampa, said this absolutely blew it away. Initial thoughts overall, in general, about this Royal Rumble?
Well, anyone who's ever been to Indianapolis for a big event before knows that it is one of, if not the best big event cities in the U.S. because everything is just set up beautifully. We got down to downtown Indy, I want to say like 1 o'clock, and just spent the day on the town, went to the mall, went to the convention center for the store. But for heading into the arena, we just walked everything. Like it's all right there. So it made it really easy to do the whole setup. The show itself, good show. I feel like this is a show I'm going to need. I usually don't watch the show again.
You might need to watch it on TV.
But I feel like I'm going to need to watch it again to get a better grasp of things. But it was definitely felt big. Sold the entire stadium out.
Yeah, crazy.
Which was not the original plan, because when I bought my tickets, one of the end zones was not available.
I think they
had
hit
shut it off.
I don't think they actually gave a number, but I think it was over 67,000 fans for the show, which is the most attended Royal Rumble in history. And we don't celebrate the gate shit here, but I believe it was the third highest gate ever, like exceeding every one night WrestleMania that's ever happened, which is crazy.
Triple H, I did go to the press conference afterward. Triple H said it was just over 70,000. I tweeted the number. I don't remember exactly what it was, but and it was the third largest gate, just behind the last WrestleMania each of those two nights. Like that was it.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So other than that, that was big. Yeah, 70,347 is what he said. I don't know if it's legit or not, but I can tell you from being there that the entire stadium was packed.
Yeah.
It was sold out, the whole thing. It was crazy.
Well, the ticket sales were, 68,000. Then you add suites and all that other stuff that they throw on there. And even if they only boosted it $3,000 just to hit the 70 number, that's still, totally fine.
Yeah.
Now, before we go match by match, and there's only 4, although we have an absolute ton to discuss on this episode, some quick one-offs from go-home shows, kickoff analysis that I saw before the event began. I'm just going to run through these. I guess the Prime sponsorship deal ended for TV and PLE because Angry Orchard was the in-ring sponsor on a go-home for a PLE. There was no hydration unit ringside. We haven't seen those, I don't believe, on TV in 2025. There were also different ring mat sponsors for the Royal Rumble. Cricket in the middle, Xfinity and the Saudis in the corners. No Prime, no beer. 3 of the 5 logos were black. The mat was the traditional light blue. It was the best overall ring mat look that we've seen since the turn of the year. Nothing that notable happened on the Royal Rumble kickoff other than Michael Cole getting Drew McIntyre completely off his game and then actually going crowd surfing with Cody Rhodes. We tweeted that if you missed it. Something Vintage and I forgot to cover on the Ultimate Preview was who we believed would be the MVPs of the 2 Rumble matches. I asked Chris, he told me Seth Rollins and Bianca Belair. I agreed on Belair, but I went with Penta as my MVP, expected MVP coming in. John Cena got a Royal Rumble video package termed The Chase for 17. So WWE has now put him winning another championship front and center in this return story. And we covered so much on the Ultimate Preview. We got a little rushed toward the end. The show went super long. I regret that we did not go over like expected surprises and similar types of predictions for the Royal Rumble match. I'll make sure we include all of those next year. Strange thing from WWE on social media. They mentioned Gunther was in the Royal Rumble match early, only for him to later cut a promo saying he would be watching it. And he knew the winner would take Cody Rhodes because he's the easier path, which I thought was interesting. The Miz actually picked a number backstage. So even though they didn't do it for everyone, they gave us a little bit of a taste about it. There was a terrific rendition of the national anthem, Not America the Beautiful, as we both desired, right?
No, I like America the Beautiful more. Also, I didn't think it was a great anthem. It was very slow. It was like weirdly slow.
It was slow, but it was really emotional. It came across really nicely on television, I thought.
Okay.
Stephanie McMahon opened with an overall announce before the pyro. Huge pop for her. You saw it in person, Chris. I did not. The WrestleMania 41 sign looked phenomenal, especially because it was animated, which has never been the case before.
Oh, it's like, so I was on the opposite end zone, so the screen was blocking the sign for me. I did go see the sign before the show, so it's like it's continually like flashing or something.
It is able to be animated, I guess is the best way to put it. Maybe it was just lit up for most of the show and just one thing. But I tweeted out WWE's like presentation of it, and the colors move back and forth, and it does a whole thing. So it's pretty interesting.
Okay. I just wish it had a 41 on there, but we're not going back to that.
I think it has it on the card. I think it has it on one of the cards.
Oh, does it?
I believe so.
Great call then.
I believe so.
I couldn't tell from where I was sitting, but also as a clue there was like basically no phone service at the show, which was weird. That's usually I feel like it's been a few years since I've been at a big thing and couldn't get any phone service. So,
Well, were you able to connect to Wi-Fi? Because I don't think I've been to a stadium or arena recently where I couldn't connect to Wi-Fi at a minimum.
There is stadium Wi-Fi. It could not connect to it. Nobody around me could connect to it either.
Weird.
It wasn't until very late in the show when I went up to the press box for the main event. I'll get into that later for the men's Rumble. That was the only time I had phone service. So I didn't see anything. You were tweeting or anybody tweeting to me.
Gotcha.
So that was weird.
And lastly, this is just a general thing I wanted to mention. There was an on-screen graphic bottom line for the Royal Rumbles that showed fun facts, entrant information, even match status details, along with like the countdown timer when appropriate. And obviously it had a couple ads in the corner as well. As longtime listener MFMT 1982 wrote in, I cannot believe it took them 3 decades to create a bottom line like that. It made all the sense in the world. It made watching the match so much easier, and it actually improved the viewing experience. So I wanted to give a shout out to whoever came up with the bottom line there.
They didn't have the bottom line on the TV screen in the stadium, but they did have it on a ticker above it.
Oh, awesome.
So, good to know they had it on TV too.
Yeah, they did. Sure. Yeah, my buddies who were there thought it was in stadium only. They didn't realize it was actually on the screen. So that was really cool. So with that, let's officially get into your 2025 WWE Royal Rumble instant analysis. We are going to break down all 4 matches on this card. We're going to give you the results. We'll have our analysis of them, our opinions and reaction to everything that happened. And at the end, we will have a final grade for the Royal Rumble. Now, there is certainly a ton to discuss when it comes to the 2 Royal Rumble matches, but I kind of want to set the stage for the men's match. So let's kick off this instant analysis by going over the WWE Championship ladder match, Cody Rhodes defending against Kevin Owens. Joe Tessitore interviewed Owens in the ring to open SmackDown. Tess was amazing going back and forth with him. Owens took back the Winged Eagle, and he also took exception to everyone on Raw looking past him as the next champion. He was ready to dip out before really even answering a question when CM Punk's music hit. Legit holy shit chance for the face-to-face given historic animosity between them. Punk basically said he didn't mean to overlook KO and would come at him just the same as Cody. KO basically said he hates Punk more than anyone else in the Rumble, but the idea of being able to beat Punk in the main event of WrestleMania is attractive, just not as attractive as Punk never reaching his goal at all. Owens has done it multiple times. Punk would be a miserable failure. Punk pointed out that unlike Owens, he has never lost 5 title matches at the Royal Rumble, never lost to Logan Paul, never screwed over his best friend seeking to win the title. Punk called Owens back into the ring, but he basically denied him and left. This was a really solid segment with long-term animosity bubbling back up. We tweeted about it Friday night, so if you're more interested in their past from Ring of Honor, you can go read that. It came across to me like it might have been a testing the water segment. If that was the case, fans did not respond anywhere near the way they did to the face-to-face with Punk and Cody on Monday night. But the Indianapolis crowd also sucked on Friday, so that's not necessarily indicative of anything. Neither of them was particularly strong on their promos, at least not compared to their ceilings, which we know are immensely high. It kind of just happened, but it was great to see them face-to-face really for the first time in WWE. Really, my top takeaway coming out of this is that with Punk guaranteeing he would win the Royal Rumble and being so overconfident about his victory over the last month, I finally, for the first time, had legitimate doubts, despite the segment with Rhodes on Monday. You'll remember we had that conversation Tuesday on the Ultimate Preview about it seemingly being a complete giveaway, that Cody and Punk was going to main event WrestleMania, Cody retaining the title, Punk winning the Royal Rumble. Coming out of this segment, I actually thought to myself, you know what? This is way too much with Punk. It's way overboard. I actually do not know that he's going to win that match. Now, there was also an excellent video package for Cody and KO on SmackDown, and it was set to rock music, so Chris was even happier with it. The song was Papa Roach, Even If It Kills Me. It absolutely had Attitude Era vibes to it. I believe that was completely purposeful, and it did a great job recapping the feud. You most likely saw it on the Royal Rumble kickoff show, or I should say pre-show, or perhaps before the match at the Royal Rumble itself. Now getting into the match. Legitimate big fight feel when the bell rang here. KO wore the Dusty Rhodes red elbow pad and his mocking son of a shirt. Early brawl through the crowd, ladder bridge with announce table. Owens feigned doing a move off of a tiny ladder. After Rhodes swung in the air, gripping the title holder, he was caught off the ladder with an equivalent pop-up powerbomb. Cody did a snap suplex into a ladder, then broke off a rung and beat KO with it, but Owens grabbed it and clocked him twice across the face. KO went for a package pile driver, but got countered with a back body drop into the point of the ladder while it was on its side, right into the spine. Big ouch. Owens powerbombed Cody off a ladder through another prop on the bottom rope. Nasty bump. A second bridge between the ladder and bottom rope in line with the table bridge was created. I thought they were going to do a move off of one into another. They didn't. Instead, it was an insane fisherman's buster by Owens into the rope bridge. Rhodes sold it as if he had straight up expired. Officials checked on both guys. That led Sami Zayn down, concerned as a friend. Cody countered a stunner with crossroads, then completely snapped. He banged KO's head into the announce table 10 times, threw him into the post. Owens was legitimately busted open. Rhodes bludgeoned him in the cut, only to get low blowed on the announce table. Cody then blocked a package pile driver and countered with an Alabama slam clean through the desk propped ladder. If there was ever a time for Jim Ross to still be with WWE, it was so he could repeat that call, perhaps not as visually spectacular, but it was the first thing that went through my mind. Cody then climbed to the top of the ladder, grabbed both titles to retain the WWE Championship in 25 minutes. He celebrated, but went back to ringside, stood on the desk, and lifted the titles over Owens' corpse, basically, as he was bleeding and straight up devastated ringside with Zayn next to him, and KO probably didn't even know that Sami was there. Expected winner, of course, but a hell of a match. I guess also expected, of course. Not sure I've seen an Alabama slam end a ladder match before, but it was as explosive of one as you could possibly hope to see. Some of the bumps both of these guys took in this match were absolutely insane. Now, it did take a good 10 minutes for this to get going, but once it did, it was phenomenal. I wished there was a little bit more storytelling in the match itself, but there was a point made to show Sami in the post-match with some awesome camera angles that you really will need to see when you get home, Chris. Given the build, he failed to protect Owens from a huge bump, and then he failed to stop Rhodes from winning the title. So Kevin's going to be pissed off at him. I presume the idea is going to be a rematch from WrestleMania 37. Still a big match if given legitimate time, but without the title on the line, it does leave something to be desired. I also thought this match was going to be about 10 minutes longer. It was relatively short given this was a 4-match card. The mini ladder getting brought out was a lot of fun. KO doing a short-range frog splash off of it would have been a great spot, but that also would have injected comedy into what was very much a serious match. The selling here by both guys completely made this. I gasped at least twice during it. You do not need 100 moves, moonsaults off ladders, and all that shit when you do 10 ladder moves and you sell each of them like they're taking years off your life. This was an old school ladder match modernized with bigger moves. And the final camera shot of Cody standing over KO and Sami was outstanding. A 10 out of 10 wrestling picture. Overall, this was a spectacle. A title change would have been amazing, but the ceiling was capped with a retention, and there weren't that many false climbs, but I don't know what else they could have done given the booking and given the spots that they delivered and the selling that was consistent throughout the entire match. 4.5 stars and an A.
Yeah, really good match with the expected winner. I know everybody wanted Kevin Owens or tried to talk them into Kevin Owens. It wasn't going to happen. It was never going to happen. I will say, during the beginning of the show, when they show all the wrestlers coming into the stadium, Kevin Owens got more cheers than Cody did.
Yeah, not surprising.
From the in-stadium crowd. And as for the match, you're right. Not many at all false finish climbs. No, none of them getting to each side of the ladder
Mhm.
and punching each other and falling off. I do feel like that was about the only thing the match was missing. Maybe I'm saying that because we're so used to getting it,
That's how I feel. Yeah.
but it there wasn't really ever a moment I thought Kevin Owens was about to win. And that part's kind of disappointing.
Mhm.
It was properly physical. The finish was ridiculous. It made I for a
In a
second
positive
thought I
way.
was
Ridiculous in a positive way. The move was crazy.
yes.
Yeah.
I did think when they got onto the table, I was like, "Whoa, is is the reinforced table going to finally pay off with something here?" It did not. And then the finish was I don't know if you could see it on TV or not, but as Cody was kind of struggling and having to get to the very top of that ladder, uh, a ref or someone ran in and held
Mhm.
the ladder down for him, tried to hold it steady, which for the record, AEW was criticized for that. So just wanted to note that it happened here.
That's true. That the difference was 3 versus 1, but also that ladder in AEW was like really looked like it was going to collapse. This one, he didn't need anyone. He was on top. He had the titles. Like, it was weird.
Well, it was tough because he had to go to like the second top
Yeah.
rung of the ladder. It was pretty high up.
The issue in AEW when they did that, it wasn't that they did it. It was the camera clearly showing all three of them there. That was the problem.
Did you see it on the broadcast?
I saw the guy run in, but then they switched the angle.
Oh, okay. And then I loved that Cody pulled the straps down.
Yes.
And didn't take the hanger off the hook
Mhm.
like we always get. So that was a proper way to do it. Great camera work. I like the story that they told, which was Cody had to go to a dark and serious place that he hadn't gone yet.
Mhm.
And we hadn't seen him since he won the title. He hadn't done that. So it definitely tapped into something new for him that was good. The Sammy stuff was weird. I thought he was going to do something, and then he did nothing. I thought...
But by doing nothing, he did something.
Right, well, if that's what it is, I don't love that. Because I thought what was going to happen was Sammy was going to come in, stop Kevin Owens from doing a pile driver or something. Like, don't do this, Kevin, don't do this. And then it costs him. And then we get Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn at Mania or something like that. So, yeah. So if we come out on Raw and Kevin Owens is mad at Sami for not cheating to help him win, I guess. But not how I would have done it.
Well, it would be KO angry that he didn't prevent him from getting hurt. And then after that happened, went ahead and just let Cody go up and get the title unabated. Like, that's why he would be angry, theoretically. And look, given some of the stuff that happened on this show, just because we think we know what's going to happen, we've been talking about WWE being predictable and expected booking and all this stuff. And there was some of that on this Royal Rumble. There was also the exact opposite at times as well. So maybe we don't know everything that's going to be happening on the road to WrestleMania, but it does seem, coming out of this, like KO and Sammy would be a rematch of WrestleMania 37. It seems like that's what they're setting up.
I tell you what I thought coming in, well, I mean, on that topic was, I thought Randy Orton comes out, costs Kevin Owens. You do Kevin Owens, Randy Orton at Mania.
Well, that would be great. Yeah.
Easy as pie. Doesn't seem to be going there. It makes me wonder, do we do Cody, Sammy at Elimination Chamber? I don't know.
Absolutely shocked, by the way, that there was no Randy Orton on this show. I could have sworn he was going to either be here or in the Royal Rumble or something. And spoiler alert, because we haven't broken down the Royal Rumble yet, but he was not in that match either.
Yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. But overall, between these two, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, they stretched this out a lot longer than I think anybody expected. It was really, really good stuff from two guys who are the best at doing this.
Yeah.
We got the Winged Eagle belt for a good run there. That was great to see. And a good old-fashioned vicious ladder match. That drops Kevin Owens to what, like 0-7 or
0-6, I think.
7 title losses at Royal Rumble.
I think
he's
0-6.
Kevin Owens is very much the guy who gets a title shot at the Royal Rumble but doesn't win it. That is like his status, like for his career. Not a terrible place to be, but it's happened a lot.
He's the bridesmaid, never the bride. But he did main event WrestleMania against Stone Cold Steve Austin. So
and he did win a Universal title by Triple H handing it to him, but yes.
And he also main evented WrestleMania winning the tag team titles with his best friend. So, I mean, so that's, glass half empty, glass half full. Depends how you look at his career, but certainly a ton of accomplishments, perhaps not as many as people would want. But to your point, KO got a lot of cheers. There was at one point, I believe, dueling chants. Let's go Cody, let's go Kevin, I want to say. Fans want KO to legitimately win a world title. And it probably needs to happen at some point in the next couple of years. The question is going to be whether it does. And we will certainly find that out in the future. But I did feel like they delivered on the storyline, the long-term storyline. That was key. And even beyond that, they've given Cody's character an edge on this road to WrestleMania. He is a different dude than the guy that we've seen carry the title all year, and certainly than the guy that we saw chase after the WWE Championship for 2 years in WWE. So what that means for his future opponent on the big show and his title reign and where he's going to go from here, there's a lot of people that want Cody Lander. They want him to completely turn heel and be a crazed psychopath. I don't necessarily think we're ever going to get that, given how over he is as a babyface. But giving some edge to a face and not having him just be a cookie cutter, man of the company, the guy you always put on TV who's going to put his best foot forward every single time, giving that dude a little bit of an edge, a little bit of a rough outer shell, badly needed in professional wrestling and badly needed in WWE because they've gone many years and decades, John Cena, of course, being the greatest example, without actually doing that.
Yeah, and I guess one last thing I'll say about that camera shot, kind of made Kevin Owens look pretty defeated.
He was.
Like just kind of curled up.
Yeah, he was.
Blood on him. Sammy's over him. The doctors are over him. Cody Rhodes standing tall. Like, that's as definitive as you can look in defeat.
Absolutely.
And in victory, if you're Cody. So there you go.
Okay, let's move to the men's Royal Rumble. There were 19 entrants known by the time the match began. Roman Reigns made his first Royal Rumble appearance in 5 years because he was obviously champion for the last 4. Rey Mysterio and Penta kicked it off, which was incredible for the fans and a mini dream match. They were really tempting fate early with multiple near eliminations, including one where Penta's feet may have both actually touched. They said it was one. It was pretty damn close. But it was a fire start. Chad Gable being third, given the luchador storyline, was great. Carmelo Hayes and Santos Escobar got some nice pops on their moves, including a Poison Rana on Penta. Otis smacked Gable across the face, but took a massive German suplex. Braun Breaker speared and eliminated Mello upon entering, which is really not going to end any of those debates about how they've been booked compared to one another. Mello took out Akira Tozawa, who was unfathomably the number 8 entrant, but it was a gag. And the reason was because they wanted to put iShow Speed in the match as a quote-unquote unplanned replacement. Having entrance music kind of negated that, but he immediately helped Breaker eliminate Otis. Then Speed did a full flip to celebrate, only for Breaker to absolutely destroy this kid with one of his best spears ever. He threw him out of the ring into Otis, who caught dude and then just tossed him over the announce table. 2 massive bumps for this guy. It was all worth it, exactly how a celebrity spot should go. Jacob Fatu came in on absolute fire at number 12, eliminating 3 guys in short order. Breaker stood up against him, only for it to get broken up. Penta immediately eliminated Ludwig Kaiser to set up their feud. He was unlucky number 13. I don't know if people caught that. Miz had a flying Hurricanrana on Penta. Yes, I actually said that sentence, but got caught on a springboard for a mid-air Samoan drop by Fatu. Joe Hendry came in at number 15 to a great pop. He had a nice run hitting Miz with a standing O. Roman Reigns was right after and took Hendry out. He faced off with Breaker, and Braun won a head-to-head spear down, only for Roman to then eliminate him upon celebration. So Breaker got the move, but Reigns got him out of the match. That was really well done. Jacob eliminated Jimmy, leaving only him, Roman, and Penta through 16 entrants. Michael Cole appropriately called the Reigns-Fatu stare-down a future WrestleMania main event. Drew McIntyre at 17 went right at Roman, saying it began with him and would end with him. There's your setup, I thought. Finn Balor returned at 18, getting no reaction because not a single person in the entire stadium knew that ill-fitting music that we've heard 2 times and is another Def Rebel shit special. Surprisingly, no pop when Penta and Shinsuke Nakamura went face-to-face. Penta hit a Mexican Destroyer on Balor's back onto Fatu before Balor eliminated Penta. He grabbed his ankle upon landing, so hopefully that's not serious. Jay was 20 and brought the crowd back to life from a lull. He did a Poison Rana on Jacob. Where the hell has that been from his arsenal? AJ Styles returned at 21 with his original music. Exceptional pop. Braun Strowman manhandled and eliminated Fatu, which was the most legit way to get him out. Jacob literally threw a desk chair onto the ring apron. He was so angry, so their feud's going to continue. John Cena was 23. That had to be intentional. Pop of the night. He teared up like Edge hearing the reaction. Immediately eliminated Strowman, AA'd Balor into him. CM Punk was 24. That's a wild sequence of entrants. Cena, Reigns, and Punk together in the ring. There was a delay so we could get a camera shot of them. Legit goosebumps. So much aura, they didn't even touch before Seth Rollins entered at 25. He went right after Punk as Reigns and Cena fought. Dominic Mysterio took all the heat at 26. Immediate frog splash to Cena. Absolutely perfect. There was a yeet, yeah moment between Jay and LA Knight. Sammy paused when seeing Reigns and actually helped him up. That immediately led to an inadvertent elimination by Jay. So that's going to play into that storyline. Logan Paul was 30, hitting a double buckshot lariat. Priest eliminated McIntyre, which was a total waste because they're on different brands and Reigns was in the ring. Knight took out Priest. AJ took out LA. Logan jumped from the apron to the announce table to stave off elimination. Then he went desk to barricade to steal step, knocking Styles off the ropes during phenomenal forearm. The final 6 was him, Punk, Rollins, Jay, Cena, and Reigns. Punk GTS on Paul, Rollins pedigree on Jay, Superman punch stomp combo on Cena, an inadvertent Reigns-Rollins team up. Rollins and Reigns then got heated at each other before brawling. Stomp got countered into Superman, countered into pedigree, which was avoided. Reigns ducked a clothesline elimination with Rollins grabbing onto him and Punk eliminating both of them simultaneously. Logan then took out Punk, which left him, Cena, and Jay as the final 3. I got concerned. Reigns argued with Punk, so Rollins ran at him, double stomped his head blind, just killed him ringside. Punk and Rollins then brawled. Paul Heyman screamed at Seth, who then fully stomped Reigns' head into the steel steps and went back to brawling with Punk. Wild stuff. Cena watched Jay and Logan go at it before trying to double AA both of them in a stack. Jay fell off, super kicked Logan. Cena eliminated him, and that left the hottest star against the biggest star. 5 moves of doom, but Jay avoided AA and hit a spear. Double elimination tease on the apron. Cena held on with a leg on a super kick, but he lifted Jay for an AA, and you figure, oh, he's going to hit it, and that's the end of the match. Except Jay escaped, falling backwards into the ring, and pushed Cena forward, with Jey Uso actually winning the 2025 Royal Rumble. Cena sold the utter shock and ran back inside to hug Jay and put him over in front of all the fans. They popped louder when Cena raised his arm. And then after the show, Cole, Pat McAfee, and Wade Barrett, they just gave up trying to do commentary, ran into the ring, and yeeted with Jay. No one left the stadium. Everyone was chanting and yeeting and all that. Absolute madness and pandemonium to end the 2025 Royal Rumble. Did I want Jey Uso to win the Royal Rumble? No, you know I didn't. Did I jump off my couch for Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble? You bet your ass I did. I saw a lot of you surprised at my positive reaction on social media. Here's what you forget about me, and you shouldn't, because you've listened to this show for nearly 5 years, and you've probably listened to me on my other shows for multiple years. Number one, I want to be surprised. I am sick of predictability, and 2024 was so damn predictable. Jay is the most shocking Royal Rumble winner since Mr. McMahon in 1999, and maybe even more shocking than that. 2, I have been begging WWE to build mega matches without championship implications. They now have the opportunity to do exactly that. We will talk about that part of it after we talk about Jay. 3, Royal Rumbles, Money in the Bank contracts. These are supposed to be used to elevate new stars, not just give another resume line to major stars you already have. There has been a significant lack of that in WWE, really over the last decade. We just had a conversation Tuesday asking whether Jey Uso is an entrance and a catchphrase or an actual main eventer, and we landed on the former. I still believe that. If I'm judging based on who I believe should be in a world title match at WrestleMania, no, I wouldn't pick Jey. But do you know who would? The vast majority of fans. The people who don't read dirt sheets and don't listen to deep dive podcasts. The majority of the WWE audience. I cannot sit here and criticize WWE for not capitalizing on LA Knight, not capitalizing on Sami Zayn, not capitalizing on Shinsuke Nakamura, not capitalizing on Chad Gable, all at their peaks, and then be mad when WWE is actually capitalizing on Jey Uso, who you can argue is more over than any of them except maybe Sami have ever been. WWE booked this exactly right. I just never thought it would actually happen. Jey as a WrestleMania main eventer would not be my booking decision. But man, oh man, is the storyline there. The multiple losses to Gunther, the Intercontinental title struggles, all the championships the Bloodline cost him over the last year or two, living up to his family's legacy and his cousin's legacy, going from which one are you to WrestleMania main eventer. Now, taking out Cena and winning out of the most stacked Royal Rumble in history, that's really the biggest shocker. Not that Jey won a Royal Rumble, but he won this Royal Rumble. This is the benefit of a 2-night WrestleMania, though. Jey's going to get a huge match against Gunther because he will want to prove himself. People will burst into tears when he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. That's the shit you want. Cody's left open. It can be Cena. It can be Punk. It can be whoever. Even if this would not have been my decision, it was an excellent one. Chris, you were there. What was the reaction like, and what was your reaction like?
Huge pop for Jey Uso. And I don't mean huge pop. I mean, like, half the stadium was doing the armed yeets thing, like all the way to the upper deck and everything. I looked and I said something to him. So I went to the show with my brother and my brother-in-law. We spent most of the show in our seats. And then for the men's rumble, we moved up to we met up with WWE PR. They took us to the press box to go to the press conference afterwards. So I watched the men's rumble from the press box. And so I could see the whole, everything happen when Jey comes out. And again, I have not rewatched this show. Right before we started recording, I did look up the finish in Jey's thing. And all I could think about there was, remember how over Daniel Bryan was and how WWE refused to put him in the main event and put him in that big spot. Oh, is he just yes, he's one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. But to a lot of people, he was just the yes chant guy. And it was the yes chant and the support behind him that got him into that main event and CM Punk quitting to WrestleMania 30. And so this is WWE giving the fans what they want. 100% of fans, no. But you go to a WWE event, and this dude might be the most over dude in the company right now. It is nuts. Is it a catchphrase? Is it an entrance? Buddy, that's pro wrestling.
Yep.
That's what it is. Hulk Hogan went out there with a great moveset, like this is what it's about. It's about the fans feeling something and rooting for a guy. And that guy won one of the most loaded Rumble groups we've ever had. He was down to a final 6 with 4 Hall of Famers, himself and Logan Paul. And he won it. And that's ultimately a good thing. I was stunned when Punk got eliminated. When Punk eliminates Roman and Seth, and I'm like, boom, Seth Roman, there you go. We're all set up for Punk to win this Rumble. I literally was saying to a friend of mine, Dan Trainer, covers it for us weekly. I said to him, well, they're not going to have Punk eliminate Roman only to not win. If you eliminate Roman, you're winning the Rumble.
Right.
And literally when I said that, boom, Punk gets eliminated. By
Same
Logan
thought.
Paul. I was like, oh my God, what the heck is happening? And so then at that point, I was like, it's Cena. Like, I'm really surprised they're going with Cena here. I did not think they were going to go with Cena.
You're describing my mindset exactly. Please continue.
And so when Jey
Wait,
Uso
before you continue, did you have dread over, oh my God, what if I'm right and it's Logan? Because there was the simultaneous for me, it was, oh, okay, it's going to be Cena. And then, wait a minute. No.
I did not.
I was like, wait a minute. Don't do this.
When it was Cena, Logan, I actually thought Cena's going to win. I actually did think Jey Uso of the three was second most likely. I did not think.
Okay.
Weirdly, at that point, I was like, Logan's not winning this. They gave him the CM Punk elimination. I don't know. I don't know why. But
yeah, great question.
To that point, I was like, well, it's Cena. And so for that to not happen and for us to be surprised, that's awesome, man. It was a great Rumble. It was a really, really good Rumble match. I don't know if I want to say great.
It was great.
But on the topic of, we'll start on the topic of Jey Uso. But he's been killing it, man. He's been so over like crazy. And I'm happy for him. It's good stuff.
Yeah, completely deserves it. And yeah, let's transition and talk about why the match was great. Because I will go above good. And I will tell you.
Actually, and one more thing. Jey Uso is not, I don't think, actually going to main event WrestleMania.
No,
we can get to. In the press conference afterward, he said he'd been thinking the whole time going in, Gunther. Then afterward, sitting in the press conference, he's thinking, I don't know, maybe I'm thinking about both. But then he said, I kind of want another shot at Gunther.
Yeah,
it's gonna be Jey Uso versus Gunther. That is not going to main event.
Night one opener.
WrestleMania.
I think night one opener or night two opener is the way I see it.
Yeah, it's got to be night two. I think night two opener. Night one opener that's tough.
Night one opener has to be a huge match. But if he wins, that is a huge match. At the end of the show, we'll do our remixed WrestleMania 41 predictions. What were you saying though?
I just brought that up because the negative reaction I saw online to Jay winning was mostly from people who think it's Jay Cody. And they're like, I can't believe Jey Uso is going to main event with Cody night two.
It's not Jay Cody. Zero chance.
That's not going to happen.
0% chance.
That's for the people who are mad. If that's why you're mad, or at least not happy about Jey Uso winning, that's not happening. So there.
Here are the chances of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso main eventing WrestleMania.
0.0.
0.0, Mr. Blutarski.
And I really hope I don't have to play back that entire segment when it actually happens. So let's fingers crossed that Silver King and Vintage are correct about that. Now, look, about the Royal Rumble match as a whole, I'm going to tell you why it was not just good, but great. In fact, one of the best in history. Absolutely stacked to the gills with talent. That run of entrances and pops over the final third of this was insanity. Loved the flow. Going from lucha-powered work rate wrestling early to surprises to one big name entering after another, all crescendoing to the finish. And this match ended exactly the way the women's match should have, with a one-on-one. Reigns entered way earlier than I expected, and the match was better because of it. Sheamus selling Hendry being super entertaining, that was fun. I had two negatives. McIntyre's elimination, which did not make a shred of sense, Priest throwing him out, not one, and Logan coming in at 30. I would have preferred Dominic there, million other people. He should have been in at 27, 28, something like that. WWE had a crazy hot run of entrants, and then he just sucked the life out of the place. The Punk Cena Reigns moment was top tier. The Punk Rollins Reigns moment, the post-elimination, I think was the best part of the entire show. We'll talk about that in a moment. Otis got one over on Gable. The celebrity entrant delivered. Breaker outspeared Reigns. Fatu got his moment. Paul was solid enough. And the actual finish swerve, going from, well, here comes the Cena win, to holy shit, they boomed us. That was hot. Cena's sell of absolute shock, standing ringside looking catatonic, was incredible, similar to Shawn Michaels in 2010. Cena winning would have been fine. Losing makes his story that much more compelling going forward. This is a no doubt A+ Royal Rumble. I'm at 4.75 stars. I'll probably rewatch this in my hotel room over the next week. I'm not sure that it wasn't 5 stars. Top tier booking here, building so much for the present and the future. Possibly a top 3 Royal Rumble of all time, right there with 1992, 2001, and some of those. This was tremendous. I know you're saying good and you're going to rewatch it on TV, Chris. I'd be shocked if you rewatch it and say it wasn't great.
Yeah, it's again, because I was up in the press box for this, and we did get the TV broadcast put in, but you couldn't hear the live crowd nearly as well because there's glass there, as opposed to when I was in Philly at WrestleMania in the press box. We opened it up and we could feel the live crowd. That's why I feel like I do need to rewatch this Rumble, because it felt like I was watching it through like a fishbowl, essentially, with the commentary. So I just, when I looked back, I was like, what are the moments of this Rumble? They had it all set up, the face-to-faces, but then they didn't really, I don't know, they didn't like do one-on-one fights very much. I couldn't believe we didn't get a Punk Cena face-to-face 1-on-1. You know, it was the Roman thing was there, and then Seth comes in and he tackles Punk, and then we kind of go off from there. There were long stretches where I forgot Roman was there, which was weird. Again, I still think it was a really, really, really good Rumble, but I do need to go back. I did catch the end. I guess I might as well bring it up now. Jay's win, Michael Cole losing his voice.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think of that?
Well, I was a little distracted because I was doing notes so furiously, trying to get ready for the show. And then I look up and I see Cole like just throws the headset down and jumps into the ring. So I didn't.
By the way, I didn't see that. Jay won and we got rushed off to the press conference. So
So Jay wins, Cena puts him over, and then the show flips from the Royal Rumble to the Royal Rumble post show, and Cole's trying to continue doing commentary and he just can't. And he's like, screw it. And he just throws his headset, and then McAfee and Wade Barrett are like, screw that. And they all jump in the ring and they yeet with him, and they all celebrated together. Wow. So yeah, I don't have a great answer. I'll have to, when I watch back, I'll let you know. But I personally love the real moments where commentators lose their voice, or a ring announcer happens to legitimately cry while announcing
this is why I brought this up.
Someone winning a championship. So the more reality, the better, as far as I'm concerned. And Cole has been putting over Jay on TV for a long ass time. Jay is really well liked backstage. I mean, by all accounts, great dude, and really friendly to everybody. Always there for people when they need them. So this is not just like a guy getting his moment because he's over with the fans. It also seems to be a guy getting his moment because he's over with the locker room. And it came across really special. It did. Just watching it on TV, seeing the way it unfolded, the way Cena like embraced him and then put him over further after that. He didn't have to do that, and he still did. It was great. I kind of want to transition off the match. So we have a lot more to talk about. Do you have anything else?
I didn't. It felt like it was missing because of Cole's voice, and the crowd was so loud that we didn't get the like iconic call from Michael Cole. I need to go rewatch the
I have to rewatch it.
I didn't.
Yeah.
On my first quick YouTube check, I felt like, man, like Cole missing his voice, there kind of didn't hit the moment. So
I think they were letting it play out. They wanted the Cena moment to play out. It wasn't like a cut and dried, like, oh my God, this person won the Royal Rumble, he's going to WrestleMania. Like the point to the sign probably happened 90 seconds after he won the match, as opposed to like 10 seconds, you know? They jump on the rope, they do it right away. So it was different. It was just different.
My other quick notes on the men's Rumble here. AJ Styles having his old music back. After I think Def Rebel finally got one right, I thought, with AJ's new music,
No.
but I guess we're done with that. I've never seen someone who didn't even get to the end of the Rumble be put over in a way like Jacob Fatu was. Like, they literally called it a WrestleMania main event on the broadcast. They gave him the stare down with everybody. He got the stare down with everybody. Like, man, I almost worry they've set it too high for him, because there's still so much we have to see from Jacob Fatu. But they have told you this is a future main eventer world champion right here, by the way. Like, they're just saying that now. It's wild.
So I do want to break this off before we get out of here and move on to the next match, talking about two kind of situations. One, Cena, we'll save him for a moment. I want to start with Reigns, Rollins, and Punk. First of all, the camera work on Reigns and Rollins in the ring was insane. Seth straight up losing his shit after they all got eliminated was amazing. One of my favorite parts of the entire show. And then Rollins using Reigns' head as a double stomp like platform to clear his path for a brawl with Punk, who he hates equally or even more. It may wind up being my favorite singular spot of this entire year when all is said and done. I thought it was phenomenal. Coming back then to give Heyman the middle finger and then stomp Reigns' ass on the steel steps was out of pocket. We know Reigns Rollins needs to be a one-on-one WrestleMania main event at some point over the next few years. That must happen. We also know Rollins Punk likely needs to be the same to blow off their feud. Maybe not necessarily a night 2 main event, but it needs to be a WrestleMania match in a prominent spot. But the whole scene filled with their emotions getting the best out of all three of them was incredible. And Chris, if they go triple threat, Reigns, Rollins, Punk at WrestleMania, that would be absolute insanity from a storytelling standpoint. Punk Rollins, Rollins Reigns, Reigns Punk, all of them in silos have organic stories. You mash all of that together, it could be straight up explosive. I mean, that should main event night 1 as a non-title match at worst.
And I think it will. And I think Punk's, I don't know how, but I think Punk's favor he's owed Paul Heyman will essentially get him there. But I do believe that's coming. That was such a frantic
It was insane.
moment, because they had just all been eliminated and we were like, what the hell? What is going on? And then you have this going on outside. Like, this was just a crazy couple of minutes there where we're all shocked. And then you have this crazy brawl coming. I don't even know if the double stomp was meant to be a double stomp or what, but it looked brutal. We haven't seen Roman beat up like that in quite a while.
We haven't seen Reigns get his ass kicked like that. We haven't seen Rollins that unhinged since probably the Visionary when he took out Rey Mysterio's eye during the pandemic. I mean, both of those guys were crazy. And then Punk just being there in general, just being Punk, but also kind of getting the shit kicked out of him, and Rollins dominating both of those guys at once. I mean, that's what you want. Like, you want Rollins to get his moment in the sun, even though in that triple threat, I can't imagine he wins it. But I mean, dude, I loved that. Again, Jey Uso winning the Royal Rumble, awesome. The ladder match, fantastic. Other things that happened on the show, great. That little mini segment, that's my biggest takeaway from the Royal Rumble. I thought it was exceptional.
Yeah. It's the thing I'm most interested in coming out of the show.
Yeah,
for sure.
No question. And finally, John Cena. Let's hear what Cena said in the post-show press conference.
Tonight was special for many reasons, but it has begun to sink in that it was my last Royal Rumble. And that Las Vegas, and looking at the sign when it was down to 2, and I had a moment to let the energy sink in, I realized that Las Vegas is my last WrestleMania. The last time I main evented a WrestleMania was 2013. That's a long time ago. The reason that hasn't been at the forefront in my mind, I've been a gimmick, I've been the first match, I've been in the middle, I've shared beers with the fans. Because my truth, my perspective is I've always done what's best for business. Tonight, standing in that ring, I wanted this experience to be a tour of goodwill. I've openly admitted I don't know how much I have left in the tank. And I just wanted to do something that would be nice for all of us to get together and have a good time. Unfortunately tonight, it dawned on me that that's not best for business. What is best for business is I main event WrestleMania. And what is best for business is, for the first time, I confidently say that I'm gonna win a 17th championship. So I'm announcing tonight that I will compete in the Elimination Chamber. And I'm saying that because after 23 years of loyal service to this company, I feel that opportunity is earned. And yes, I'm flying back to Hungary to film a movie, so what I'm going to do is give my 5 other opponents 1 month to slander my name and bolster their self-confidence the best that I can. I told Toronto when I announced my retirement that I was grateful for the city and I would be back. And I would be back to kick ass. It is time to walk that talk and be who I say I am. I am going to the Elimination Chamber to win, and I'm going to main event my final appearance in WrestleMania and win a 17th championship, because that's what's best for business. And I say that because it is not best for my ego. It is not best for my business. I have built my existence here off of hard work, loyalty to this company, and respect for all of its branches. I will win 17 not for me. I will win 17 to someday shake the hand of the person who wins 18. Thank you very much.
That might be a top 10 promo of John Cena's career right there. Am I crazy that he sounded stuck up, selfish, egotistical, maybe even a little bit heelish there? Maybe that was purposeful. Maybe it was frustration mixed with confidence. But I absolutely loved his tone and the way he delivered this. I also loved the way he said, look, I'm not going to be on TV. I don't care if people talk shit about that. I deserve all of this. First blush, I don't necessarily see Cena winning the chamber, but I absolutely loved this from him. It kind of came across, Chris, and I say this as a Florida Gators fan, like Tim Tebow's The Promise speech after the Ole Miss loss in the swamp. And obviously, Florida did go on to win the national championship in 2008. It seems like this might be the story they're telling, that he had this big setback, and now he's going to make a major comeback and achieve the goal that he set out for himself. Maybe this is meant to be layered, where Cena thinks it needs to be him because he's been so used to it always being him for this entire time. But WWE's moved on and they don't need him to win the title. They don't need that to be what's best for business in 2025. And he has to come to that realization over the course of the entire year. I still believe, as we talked about on the Ultimate Preview, that him winning Money in the Bank or King of the Ring and earning a title shot that way in the latter stages of this run makes more sense. But this promo was outstanding. And if Cena does go into Elimination Chamber and actually wins that, and then faces Cody Rhodes for the championship at WrestleMania, that is undoubtedly your night 2 main event. And it's the biggest match that WWE could possibly book, not involving The Rock.
So I was kind of annoyed by this because I was supposed to ask Cena a question in the press conference. I was told I'd get a question, and then he didn't take any questions. So I was kind of annoyed about it in the moment. But it is ultimately what I wanted, what we all wanted from Cena, which is no more goofy John, go for this. And he was being goofy in the match. He was doing the kind of jumping up and down, looking around type of stuff, that whole deal. And so I do hope this is the end of that for the time being. I don't know if we have the conversation. We don't need to have the conversation yet as to whether or not Cena does get Elimination Chamber and does get 17.
We got plenty of time for it. Yep.
But I think we would both agree it would kind of feel weird to do it so quickly at Mania. Mm-hmm. I think we both thought the end of the run is kind of when you do that, and they still could. Maybe that's the whole year. Maybe the entire year is John Cena going for 17. He doesn't get it at Mania, but he keeps trying. I think that's possible. But I did come away from this press conference thinking that even though I said Cena wasn't going to get 17, I now feel it's much
you feel
more
that pressure coming in, right?
I do feel that pressure coming.
Yep.
I didn't like every time he says it, I'm surprised when he says, I haven't won a match in 2,000 days or whatever it is. He hasn't main evented Mania since 2013. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is WrestleMania 29 with The Rock. That's wow.
Time to learn the words to "My time is now," buddy.
No, basic thugonomics. I think that's more embarrassing.
We'll figure that out.
But I'm way more interested in Cena, and I'm annoyed he's going to be gone for the next month.
Oh, I am way more interested in John Cena coming out of that promo. No question.
Oh, I am, but we're not going to get him for another month.
Yeah, I know. But you know what? I talked about this on the Ultimate Preview, though. I said, look, there's plenty of time left, right, for Cena to work all these dates that he said he's going to work. This is the time where you don't need him on those dates. What you need him on, the road to WrestleMania and the road to SummerSlam and the road to Survivor Series, right? You want him there every week or every other week or whatever the case might be. If he's going to take a month off, then when you're building a card like WrestleMania and you need to give TV time to all the other matches on the show to build those, this is the perfect time for him not to be there every single week. Take a month off, film in Hungary. That's totally fine. Come back and do your Elimination Chamber match and go from there.
Ultimately, way more interesting moving forward. My prediction coming in was Roman Cena. That's clearly not happening.
Well, we're going to circle back to our remixed WrestleMania 41 predictions at the end of the show. Moving on to the Women's Royal Rumble. On SmackDown, we got a third Charlotte Flair vignette. She admitted she's selfish and greedy, saying she worked hard to stay on top for a decade and isn't giving up her spot. She also had her own version of the whole limousine riding, jet flying catchphrase that her father made famous. It's actually excellent, the vignette as a whole. The catchphrase is solid as well, except for the part of it where she refers to herself as self-made, which is just a total joke. There were 12 known entrants by the time the match began, and WWE announced on the pre-show that one or two women from NXT would participate as well, and it wound up being way more than that, which for the Silver King was a positive. Io Sky and Liv Morgan kicked it off, meaning I needed Io to go wire to wire, and Liv would have had to do the same after being runner-up each of the last 2 years. Roxanne Perez was in it again at 3, and with Lyra Valkyrie at 4, clearly they were going work rate early. Lyra came in hot, but unfortunately had an immediate wardrobe malfunction. Ivy Nile at 7 did a double German suplex, which was the first major highlight of the match. Lash Legend was the second NXT entrant at 9, insanely hot at first, but she botched using Ivy as a weapon. B-Fab was appropriately the first elimination by Chelsea Green. Bianca Belair at 10 had a fun, inventive spot in the corner with 4 of the women. Ivy got loudly booed for eliminating Lyra, which was great for both of them because they were getting a reaction. Chelsea's gimmick was being exhausted, yet taking the first offense from every new entrant. Maxine Dupree at 14 got a shockingly great pop and even eliminated Ivy. Huge pop with the elimination. No surprises at all at the midway point. Pure Fusion teamed up and dominated for a bit, only to get thrown out simultaneously, all 3 of them. Jada Parker was the third NXT entrant at 16. Her new theme is wretched. I mean, no one knew what it was, and for someone who is popular in NXT and should at least be recognizable by their theme, I mean, they've just crushed the aura that she has coming to the ring. I don't understand it. The 4 black women all kind of put each other over. They were commiserating in the middle of a ring like, oh, it's cool that we're all here and doing this. When Green tried to join the party, only to get beaten up right away, almost like she's not invited to the cookout. This, as Piper Niven came out to absolutely wreck shit, but she accidentally eliminated Chelsea. Jordan Grace got a fantastic pop, debuting as a full-time WWE superstar at 19. She eliminated and mocked Jada, then took out Piper with a freaking rolling Death Valley driver. Holy shit. One of the biggest moments on the entire show. Jordan hugged Naomi, only for Bianca to stop that cold, jealous, angry, whatever the case. Alexa Bliss returned at 21 to a mega pop. Second or third loudest of the entire show. Absolutely wild. It was incredible. She had a fiend/friend forever message on the back of her jacket, which was super cool. Not quite Edge's return, but there were real emotions here. Zelina Vega hit Grace with a massive avalanche code red. Stephanie Vaquer made her WWE main roster debut at 24, another NXT superstar. Great reaction for her entrance and thigh driller. I think she got a bigger pop than any other NXT superstar. Trish Stratus surprised at 25. Awesome pop for her. Liv eliminated Bliss with a code breaker on the ring apron. Fans were really conflicted because they wanted to cheer that Liv eliminated her, but also boo because they didn't want Bliss eliminated. Charlotte was number 27. Exact same presentation with Pyro. Big pop. Vaquer and Grace had her in a double delayed vertical suplex, but she countered it into 2 DDTs. And if that was not a metaphor for Flair's entire WWE run, other people have her where they're about to beat her and there's an opportunity for other people to get over. And then she just falls down and double DDTs them and she stands on top again. Well, that continued. Charlotte took out Piper. Julia at 28 immediately went at it with Io, which was awesome. Julia also eliminated Jordan. Loud NXT chants for Roxy, Julia, and Stephanie against Charlotte and Bayley. Nia Jax was 29 and eliminated Trish to major heat. And that left the door wide open at number 30 for Nikki Bella to make her return for the first time in 3 years. Good pop, not a great pop, since I presume everyone was waiting for Becky Lynch. 10 women ganged up on Nia, but she powered out of all of them. There was an awesome near elimination with Io in Vaquer's legs over the ropes. Nia then eliminated Io, Bianca, Naomi, Stephanie, Liv, and Raquel all on the ropes simultaneously. That left Charlotte as the obvious winner with Bayley, Julia, Nikki, and Roxy, the other ones remaining. Flair indeed eliminated Jax while she was tussling with Perez, then booted Roxy off the apron and got the win. The most stacked women's division ever. And Charlotte wins for the second time in 6 years. This was on its way to being a perfect Royal Rumble match until the final few minutes. Starting with Nikki at 30, while a huge return, it was a downer since everyone definitely wanted Becky. It was a waste of the number 30 spot. You should have put Bliss in there, if anything. Then you had the Nia mass elimination, which completely ruined the anticipation for the finish. When you looked at the final 6, there was literally no other possible winner than Charlotte. Why would you get rid of Io, Bianca, Liv, and Naomi, all legitimate winners, simultaneously and so unceremoniously without focusing on them being taken out? These are your stars and your potential winners for the match. Why not try to create storylines out of all of their eliminations or some of their eliminations? Why would you pick the final 3 that you picked as opposed to, let's just say, Charlotte, Io, and Naomi? I guess because Flair might get booed out of that group and you wanted her to get cheered. And then why fast forward the final 3 when you could have at least had Flair and Perez wrestle for a few minutes and perhaps tease us with an alternate winner? None of that is even addressing the eye roll booking of Flair returning and immediately winning. WWE cannot book this woman outside of the title picture. It's astounding. How disrespectful to the women that carried this company for a year while she was injured. Water, rinse, repeat, return, win, take a title. For me, it ruined what was on its way to being an A match. It was such a downer, especially coupled with Nikki. Even if Charlotte was going to win, the moment should be more exciting and less predictable, like with Cody and Punk last year. And it overshadowed an otherwise great match. The WWE gaslighting of Flair being the biggest star in the division and getting a huge pop was a joke. I'm not saying she didn't get a big pop. She did. But they made it sound like she got one bigger than Bliss, when Bliss's was so thunderous, like it seemed like the stadium shook. And they wasted a Rumble win on someone who simply did not need it. The best way to describe this booking was lame. It's 2025, not 2019. My positives, I loved seeing all the NXT women after the pre-show said that there's only going to be 2 of them. The Bliss return was phenomenal, biggest pop of the match, and she got to use her original music. She wasn't saddled with Fiend or 6 adjacent stuff, at least not yet. Jordan looked amazing in her full-time debut. Working with 2 NXT talents makes me think she winds up starting in NXT. There were some great wrestling spots, and this did kick the shit out of last year's Royal Rumble for the women, just from an entertainment value standpoint. But coupling the lacking booking late with the sudden, uneventful finish, I'm at 3.75 stars B+, and that even may be a little bit high, Chris.
Couple things on this. Do you know what the most viewed clip from the Rumble is at this moment?
Nikki Bella return.
WWE's YouTube. No, it's Alexa Bliss's return.
Oh, okay.
314,000. Like a good far ahead of everything. I don't think anything else is at 2. The only other thing is every men's entrance is a match.
Sure.
But even this is by far the biggest thing on social media is Alexa Bliss's return. So awesome to see her. Did we even talked about it in the preview. Did we get swerved by all the contract dirt sheet stuff, do we think?
I mean, I didn't. I mean, we talked about it as if it was accurate. And we said, if this is true, then it sounds ridiculous because how could her value, I talked about it. She didn't have any leverage is what we talked about, if that was true.
Right. So I don't know. I think maybe they swerved us a little bit, or at least had something out there that maybe it was not that. But either way, great to see her. Nikki Bella at 30. Yeah, I would have put Nia Jax at 30, I think. It wasn't that people, I think, wanted Becky Lynch. It's that they wanted AJ Lee. That is the sense I got.
That's really not a fair expectation. I mean,
I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying that's what people expected.
Yeah.
And Nikki Bella's great. I think she gets more hate than she should, even from a wrestling standpoint, because toward the end of her main run, she had become very good.
No, Nikki's really solid, but the biggest return in that match was Bliss. And
No. I'm just saying irrelevant. I'm just saying.
No, I understand. I understand. But what I'm explaining,
my brother was one of these people. He hated that Nikki Bella was in the match. Like, dude, Nikki Bella is a legend. Like her last run, she legit is really good.
That's not even what I'm talking about though. My point is,
I'm saying that's what I'm talking about.
No, totally. But the point is, if you're gonna have an unannounced return as huge as Bliss, who you know is going to be the biggest one, you cannot put her that much earlier than Nikki, because the Nikki one just completely pales in comparison, and it shouldn't. If Nikki came out at 23 or whatever, she gets a huge pop. Trish comes out at 25, gets a huge pop, and then Bliss comes out at 30, and the place goes wild. They just did it in the wrong order.
No, I know. I completely agree. I'm just saying the negativity toward Nikki Bella.
It has nothing to do with it. Shouldn't have anything to do with Nikki.
Right.
Yeah.
But, in WWE's eyes, who is bigger?
Right.
To them, it's probably Nikki Bella, but to other people, it's Alexa Bliss. Other big takeaway from this. So going back to the finish and the results, I guess we'll start there. The Nia Jax spot. I didn't see this on TV. I don't know how it looked on TV. It looked terrible on the cameras we had inside the stadium, which was just solely behind all of them, like outside of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't even all fall off at one time. Somebody, I don't remember who, fell off earlier than they were supposed to. It was just a mess of a spot. And I couldn't even tell at first that it was Nia Jax who did it. It was just like, a bunch of people fell off and, I guess Nia must have knocked them off. So I don't know how it came across the broadcast. It was a very, very weird thing. And when that happened, everybody knew Charlotte was going to win. And Charlotte winning, I called it. I didn't want it to happen, but I knew it was going to happen. And my biggest issue with this Rumble was kind of to that point, which was there weren't that many big moments outside of Alexa Bliss's return. Because the first half of this match, each person comes out and they get to do all their cool moves on somebody. And they got to shine. But the second half of the Rumble didn't do that. And we just kind of got a mess of things. How do you not have that, like you said, that finishing sequence? Let Charlotte and Roxanne or whoever, go for it.
Yeah, let Charlotte earn it if she's going to win.
we've had that two years in a row that Cody won the Rumble. He earned it. He went long with Gunther, and then he went long with Punk. Like especially with Gunther, it was like its own match.
Yeah, it was like 7 minutes on its own. It felt like.
Like I don't understand how you don't do that here. So that was incredibly discouraging. I honestly don't know a lot of the NXT women who were in this match. I know of them.
They were all the right ones to be in the match.
I know they're all thought of well.
Yeah.
Some of them got reactions. Some of them didn't because we didn't know who they all were. In terms of the Charlotte of it all, I agree with you on that point.
No, I mean, I pretty much said my entire piece. I'll note that Roxy set the record for longest time in a women's Royal Rumble, and being the runner-up is a massive deal for someone in NXT. Io and Liv also deserve a lot of credit for working so deep into that match. I liked what the NXT women largely did. There were certainly situations where some got bigger pops than others did, like you said, but just the fact that they put so many of them in there was a massive positive. And I kind of disagree. I thought the match was built extremely well. I mean, what Jordynne Grace did with that rolling Death Valley driver on Piper Niven and the way they brought in Piper after everyone was ganging up on Chelsea, even Pure Fusion kind of got a moment in the match to look dominant, even though, you know, we all like roll our eyes at them because they haven't been a good group. But the way to make them a good group is to actually give them opportunities, and they did that here. So I thought this match was segmented and built up extremely well, actually. I loved the way they built. And then they got to the finish.
That's why I thought the first half was great.
And then they got to the finish, and it was like Nia doing the spot where the big person powers out of 10 people, you know, coming at them like she's a superhero. And then Nia, and look, maybe there was a botch, maybe something happened on the ropes, but Nia like ran into 6 women and they all just fell off the ropes. And it's like, those are your top other contenders, and you eliminated all of them together. Even if, let's say, one of them or even 2 of them was supposed to hang on, but they got bounced out, or let's say something like that happened. Even if that was the case, it was still a bad spot. Like there's no excusing that, to just have Bianca and Liv and Io all gone at the same time when you could be developing women's storylines through the match, just like you did with the men's. And this goes right back to the conversation we have all the time. And I'll kind of end on this, which is that there is so much time and attention put into the men's division. And I'm not necessarily saying it needs to be exactly equal for the women. In an ideal world, it would be, because they deserve that, but it should at least be, 65, 75, 80% as much time and effort. And they just don't go as deep with storylines. They don't develop stuff for the future. I mean, Liv Morgan being a runner-up twice in a row, that should have been a bigger deal coming into this match. She should have been talking about that on TV coming in. I've been a runner-up twice in a row. This year I win. Nothing's going to stop me. And then she gets eliminated, and that's a big moment. She throws a fit. She goes over to commentary, says something about it. And they just didn't take advantage of any of those opportunities. And it was all so they could just platform Charlotte Flair again, who's has a catchphrase and is otherwise the exact same person. Is claiming she's self-made, even though she completely rides the coattails of her family name. I mean, it is just absolutely maddening to me. I don't care that she actually won. It was how they did it. If she had won and it was better, I would have said, I disagree with the winner. Just like I said with the men's match, I wouldn't have chosen Jay, but they got it right. It was the wrong winner, and they didn't get it right.
So, and that's what the whole final third of the match was very just weird for that same reason. First half MVP, Chelsea Green, huge pops for her entrance, for her eliminations. It is further confirming what I've been saying ever since she won this title, which is that people want to cheer for her. They like her. She's entertaining. Let them cheer for her. And so the way most of the women left the ring, they don't walk back up the ramp. They go off to the side, and they get in a golf cart, and a golf cart takes them back. And as Chelsea Green was taken back, she stood on the top of the golf cart and did like the wave thing and was getting huge cheers from the crowd as she was going by. I thought it was hilarious.
That's cool.
Big hair is back. Maxine, Jordynne Grace, big hair and bangs, like 1980s look. Thought it looked good.
I thought Jordan looked amazing, but I hate the bangs.
It made her look smaller.
It's so weird. I don't like bangs.
She looked bigger last year. I don't know. That was weird. But overall, good stuff overall. This is one I really got to go watch back in person. Another one. The broadcast.
By the way, in terms of what women we thought might be in the match, but ultimately were not, Becky Lynch, Asuka, Jade Cargill, AJ Lee. Asuka may not be cleared. Jade made her debut in the Rumble last year. Her return needs to be story-based, so I didn't necessarily expect her in this match. I never expected AJ in this match, unlike others who I guess are disappointed. They keep chanting for her maybe next year. Becky, I completely understand why they held her off. They had all these other names coming back, and she would have overshadowed pretty much all of them except for maybe Alexa Bliss. She deserves her own moment. If she had returned in a match where Charlotte was going to win and then go to WrestleMania, that would have been immensely rough, all things considered, Chris. So I was fine with no Becky. And again, the others I didn't necessarily expect in this spot anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. In Charlotte, she was acting both heelish and face-ish in the press conference, so I don't know.
Dude, I think she thinks she's a face, and everything she said was like a heel.
I felt like she was being a face and then wanted to make sure she sounded like a heel in the press conference. I don't know. I don't know what to make.
I don't get her, dude. And
by the way, she didn't get booed in this. She got cheered in this. It wasn't, but long term or medium term, short term, I don't see this continuing because it never works. Her as a face.
It never does. And finally, at the Royal Rumble, the WWE Tag Team Championships were on the line. DIY defending against Motor City Machine Guns in a 2 out of 3 falls match. On SmackDown, MCMG met up with Los Garza backstage, ensuring they would be on the same page for their match. Santos Escobar and Elektra Lopez were having none of it, saying unlike MCMG, which have a title match, they're all fighting for what they deserve. We finally got to hear Angel and Berto speak, saying they wanted a title match after the Rumble. I liked this. We got a bit of MCMG's personality and Legado del Fantasma's perspective, even if we obviously had a lot more from both going forward. MCMG and Garza fought DIY and Pretty Deadly. This went entrances, commercial break, entrances, picture-in-picture, movie teaser, 1 minute of action, picture-in-picture commercial break. Seriously, it was awful. There was a chaotic no-tag sequence late that got a "This is awesome" chant after not eliciting any cheers beforehand. The faces argued over a blind tag with Garza walking out. Tommaso Ciampa accidentally booted Elton Prince off the ropes, so Kit Wilson refused to tag, and Chris Sabin caught him with a rolling cover for the short-handed win. DIY reminded PD that Royal Rumble is the biggest match of their lives, and if they lose the titles, Deadly won't get a shot. They said DIY were on their own. It was a better match than the crowd acknowledged, but it was rather boring for me. I'd have liked a segment that led to MCMG and Garza agreeing to team rather than being forced together and just having a match. It just didn't rouse me at all. This was a terrible go-home to a 2 out of 3 falls bout on a PLE. Their segments on this SmackDown should have focused on character and story. There should have been dueling promos or a deep video package, not a random 8-man tag match that really accomplished nothing other than creating potential matches coming out of this that one of them I think we've already seen, but whatever. The best build to this match actually came from the video package that preceded it. There was actual character and storyline development for everyone involved, including MCMG. Unfortunate that it did not happen on the Go Home SmackDown. Buddies at the stadium also told me the reason it was so quiet for this match is that everyone ran to use the bathroom and get food immediately after the Women's Rumble. So it was literally a popcorn match. Now, as far as the match itself goes, a purposeful fake tag by DIY confused Alex Shelley, who ate a pump knee from Tommaso Ciampa for the first fall. This was 3 minutes into the match. They later hit Shatter Machine for a delayed 2.5 count. Excellent springboard crossbody inside-outside by Chris Sabin. That led to Skull and Bones to even the match 8 minutes into it. Sabin took super kick fairy tale ending for a broken fall. Project Ciampa for a false finish. MCMG hit a tremendous avalanche sliced bread powerbomb out of the corner. Johnny Gargano accidentally super kicked Ciampa, eating the MCMG special. When the Street Profits distracted in both corners, Angelo Dawkins used his crutch on Shelley, with DIY hitting meat in the middle to retain the titles in 13 minutes. The Profits then went after DIY before holding up the tag team titles, and they got some cheers. They looked kind of badass. I enjoyed the match. I enjoyed the finish with the Profits seemingly turning heel and making a major impact in the tag team division. The fake out tag early was awesome, and the way it built to the end was great. But there was no scenario where this needed to be 2 out of 3 falls the way it was booked. The first 2 falls were completely irrelevant, and everyone missed them because they took the bathroom break. This only went 13 minutes, which should be the minimum length for a 1-fall title match on a PLE. If you're going to do 3 falls, you have to be at 21, 23, 25 minutes. Give people time to get back to their seats and watch the second half of the match, or allow each fall to stand on its own and be notable. Extremely poor pacing, extremely poor iteration to come up with this match and this booking for a PLE. And then you add interference on top of it, and this screamed high quality TV main event for something that was a huge deal for all 4 guys and could have stolen the show given their level of skill. It felt completely worthless. 3.5 stars and a B, and that's because of the quality of wrestling only. If I was really adding the booking aspect to it, it would be lower because, again, they did not put either of these teams in position to succeed. And if you were going to do this match as it was laid out, you should have completely skipped the first 2 falls, done the fake tag spot as the finish, and then had the Profits attack at the end. 13 minutes, really exciting. DIY screw them over. The Profits beat the shit out of both of them and stand tall in the middle of the ring, as opposed to standing tall by the barricade and ringside area.
You are completely right that it was the popcorn/bathroom match, because I was one of those people.
Yeah.
Who went to the bathroom after the Women's Rumble, knowing I was not interested in this match, missing the first fall of this match, and it ultimately being what it was. I think 2 out of 3 falls made it worse. I think it made it less interesting.
Yeah,
because people
agreed.
knew that there was going to be a good chunk of the first half of the match that didn't matter. So ultimately, glad the tag belts were on the show. Motor City Machine Gun got a big thing, but these are 2 of the least interesting tag teams going right now, frankly. And so I don't know. If we didn't have Saturday Night's main event a week prior, I would have loved to have put Rhea Nia here. Instead, is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know that they're the least interesting. They're the least developed, which is weird because they're the champion and the main challenger. And that's why the video package that came ahead of the match was so much more interesting than, even the match itself by the time it was over, right? But it was the most interesting part of the entire build. I guess the good news coming out of all of this is it probably puts the Profits into a WrestleMania feud for the titles, maybe a multi-team match, just given the way SmackDown has been building this division over the last few months. I could see a 5-way ladder match or, an elimination match for the tag team titles, something like that. I hope the Profits get refreshed gear, and it's going to be interesting to see how they're presented. Fans didn't want to boo them when they turned heel with Bobby Lashley. So what exactly has changed now? They still cheered them coming out of this, and I get it. They cost MCMG the titles, but they also beat up DIY. So they're not necessarily heels, but at the same time, they're not really faces interfering in a match like this when MCMG had a chance to win the titles. So it's a little strange, but I like that there's attention and effort being put toward the SmackDown tag team division. I'm glad the titles were on the show. First time they were defended on a premium live event since WrestleMania. And I'd probably have to go back and see the last time they were defended at a non-WrestleMania premium live event. I wouldn't be surprised if it's been a couple of years. So I'm glad they were on the show, but I thought it was the complete wrong booking and the complete wrong match creation. Single fall, 13 to 15 minutes, fine. 2 out of 3 falls, complete waste.
Yeah, but, it was a popcorn match, and maybe that's what they wanted. Ended up being a long show, too. Longer than I thought.
All right, so that wraps up our complete breakdown of every match on the 2025 WWE Royal Rumble card. That brings us into our post-show grades. And let me just remind all of you, we're going to give you some quick Twitch remixed WrestleMania 41 match predictions at the end of this show. First to go over our pre-show grades. Chris and I both agreed it would be an A- show coming in. Chris, I want to say your numerical grade was a 93 out of 100, and I was at a 91. Is that accurate?
I was 92.
92. Okay, and I was 91. In terms of how all of you are getting overheads voted on social media, 80% thought it would be an A to an A minus, 19.4% B plus to B, and less than 1% B minus to C plus, nothing lower than that. So expectations were immensely high. That averages out to a 93.49 out of 100. And if you round that all the way up, that's a 94 out of 100. So the expectation for the 2025 Royal Rumble was that it would be an A show. Chris, you were there. You do need to watch it at home, and perhaps you'll have a different perspective. But as a live attendee, what is your final grade for the 2025 WWE Royal Rumble?
A minus. I'm going to stick with exactly what I had, ultimately. Enjoyed it. Good show. Correct winner in 3 of the 4 matches. Got a surprise in the 4th, the Men's Rumble. Very much need to rewatch for a full final grade. Not as many big, memorable moments upon first experience that I thought there would be or usually is. So I'm going to stick with A minus.
And go ahead, give me a numerical grade for that.
Going right with a 92 again.
So it completely met your expectation.
Yes.
Okay. Well, our Getting Overheads on social media had the opportunity to vote. 55% said A plus to A. 30.5% said A minus to B plus. 9.8% B to B minus, and 4.7% C plus or lower. That averages out to a 92.445, which rounds up to a 93. So an A minus at the very edge, slightly higher than you, an A minus for the Royal Rumble. And I got to tell you, I am in complete agreement across the board. Met my expectation, did not exceed it. We came in knowing that the men's match was going to be absolutely loaded. I thought the winner there completely shocked me, exceeded my expectations. Meanwhile, the women's match hit pretty much everything I expected, except for the finishing sequence fell below. So those kind of evened out. The men's match for the WWE Championship, the ladder match between Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, was actually better than I expected. Meanwhile, the DIY and MCMG match absolutely disappointed me and fell way below my expectations. I thought that was going to get 20, 25 minutes. I thought it might have the chance, not so much to steal the show, where it'd be the thing that everyone was talking about, but where people said, wow, that's a tag team match of the year contender. Did not come anywhere close to it. So I am right along for the ride with everyone. I have this as an A minus show, and I'm actually going to go slightly higher than my initial numerical grade on the Ultimate Preview for the pre-show expectation grade. I'm going to say it was a 92 out of 100. I am in complete agreement with you, Chris. So all of us pretty much in the same camp. A strong start to the year for WWE from a premium live event standpoint. Now, before we get out of here, because we did it on the Ultimate Preview, we gave you some WrestleMania 41 match predictions. It makes sense to circle back and give you our first blush remixed predictions on this instant analysis. Perhaps we will think this through further, or given what happens Monday on Raw, have more to talk about this coming Tuesday on our next WWE edition. And certainly we will make predictions and guesses and proclamations about WrestleMania from now all the way down the road over the next 76 days. So what do we know is likely happening for sure? Chris, do you agree with me on these two? WWE Women's Championship, Tiffany Stratton defending against Royal Rumble winner Charlotte Flair. And then the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther defending against Royal Rumble winner Jey Uso. I say both of those because Flair and Ripley redoing that doesn't make that much sense. Flair and Stratton is super easy. And Gunther, I have a feeling, is going to tell Jey, go ahead, dude, take the easy way out. Go challenge Cody. Jey is going to want revenge coming off of his losses to Gunther. And you also need to use Gunther's title reigns to get over major baby faces. They did it with Sami Zayn when it should have been Chad Gable. And now they have a chance to do it with Jey.
Yes, I agree on both.
So in terms of what's left, I have 4 matches right now. Kevin Owens against Sami Zayn in a singles match. Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley against Io Sky. I'm sticking with that. Io winning the Elimination Chamber makes all the sense in the world. Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, CM Punk as the main event of night one. And what you could actually do is you could add Drew McIntyre into this, because what did we talk about earlier? Reigns and Rollins have issues. Rollins and Punk and Reigns, they all have issues. Guess what? McIntyre hates Reigns. McIntyre hates Rollins. They literally fought at WrestleMania last year. And we know McIntyre hates Punk. So I'm saying this is a triple threat for now. I could definitely see that being a four-way. And then lastly, WWE Championship, Cody Rhodes against John Cena, main event of night two. To be honest, I said this earlier, I don't actually see Cena winning Elimination Chamber. So this is more of a placeholder prediction, because I don't know right now who would actually go and challenge Cody unless it was maybe Drew. I still believe Money in the Bank makes the most sense for Cena, King of the Ring. If not that, he has to struggle beyond not winning the Royal Rumble, which is what I've said I've wanted for weeks on this show, and we just recently discussed it as well. Chris, those are my other 4 match predictions as of right now. Do you agree with them? Do you have other predictions? Where's your head at?
I agree on Cody Cena. I think Cena wins the Elimination Chamber.
Okay.
I agree on, I think we have Reigns, Rollins. It's the main event.
Okay.
We know in some form, it is announced that it is the night one main event. And Punk uses the favor to get in, so he gets his main event. That's the story they've been pushing with Punk. It'd be weird to just kind of not do it.
Agreed.
I don't think you throw McIntyre in there. I think you do McIntyre, Damian Priest with how the Rumble went. I wouldn't want to do a fatal 4-way.
That's such a boring match, though. McIntyre and Priest, just so Priest can get a win, and like, oh God.
It is, but
I'm not saying you're wrong.
The Rumble went, and
saying,
McIntyre Punk is kind of done, and Roman's preoccupied with 1 to 2 other dudes now. Right now, McIntyre is kind of the odd man out. I love Drew, but he's not on the level of those guys.
Could be.
What were the other ones?
Women's World Championship, I have Rhea Ripley against Io Sky.
Possible. I won't be super interested in that because I'm just not an Io Sky person. But in terms of who else is there, I don't know if there's anybody else that would make sense for.
Well, there's one person. I mean, you cannot run Liv again. You cannot run Nia again.
No.
So it would have to be Bianca Belair would be the other option.
Yeah, I did pick that because I think I picked Bianca to win the Women's Rumble.
Here's the problem, though. If you do that, that's a WrestleMania main event. Like that, you have to do that if they are going to main event night one. You have to.
You correct, and I don't think you're main eventing night one with that. Right. So,
not this year.
Yeah, I think Rhea Io probably makes the most sense. Yep.
And do you think KO and Sammy happens?
I guess. I'm not looking forward to it, though. We've already done KO versus Sammy, and I don't feel like the storyline involving the two of them right now is all that good.
I believe it's good enough to get to a WrestleMania match, but I also think it would be forced without a title.
In the first one, it was kind of forced, too.
It was. I want them to fight on that show with a title on the line. Owens has it. Zayn beats him. He wins the world championship. He gets this great moment. He does it over his best friend who he's feuding with. Like, it's literally right there for them. Don't force it this year. Do it next year if you have to.
Right. And what I do think you get instead, I think we do Sheamus Braun Breaker for the IC title.
And he finally wins it.
Yeah.
Could see that happening. Well, we will circle back to our WrestleMania 41 match predictions multiple times over the next 76 days between now and WrestleMania 41. It's going to be a crazy week coming up here on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Silver King headed to New Orleans for the Super Bowl. Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. Extremely excited about that. Our next episode will come on Tuesday. It will be a full WWE breakdown. We will have a second look at the Royal Rumble. Vintage is going to watch it on TV. I'm going to rewatch some matches. We'll see what we have to say. We might also touch on the post show and some other things that happened surrounding the Royal Rumble itself. We'll have WWE news. We're going to break down everything that happened on SmackDown that we did not already discuss on this episode. And of course, we'll have a 3-hour edition of Raw on Netflix to talk about as well. All of that coming this Tuesday on the Getting Over Wrestling podcast. Of course, we will also have a show Thursday breaking down NXT and AEW. That is the plan as of right now. Hopefully the Super Bowl doesn't take me too far out of that, but of course we will see in the near future. On the way out of this show, allow the Silver King to remind you that the Getting Over Wrestling podcast
is all about Defy.
So head over to Apple Podcasts and Spotify, leave a 5-star rating on Apple, take a little extra time, leave a 5-star written review. If you do, we will read it live right here on the show. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Getting Overcast. Interview clips, full audio episodes, and a lot more coming in 2025. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Getting Overcast. Don't forget to follow us on social media, Twitter at Getting Overcast, Blue Sky at Getting Over for episode drops, news, analysis, highlights, all of that good stuff. All of the questions and comments you sent in about the Royal Rumble, we will address as many of those as we possibly can this coming Tuesday. And if you have more, feel free to send them in. Jerome's. And don't forget,
I happen to love the number 5.
hope you do as well. $5 a month, $50 for the entire year. You can become an official Getting Overhead. Just visit buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. Sign up. You will get bonus audio, the fastest 5 minutes in professional wrestling, and instant reactions to every major show, plus exclusive news posts every single week. Again, buymeacoffee.com/gettingover. A wild late night right here in the Getting Over universe for Vintage Chris Vanini. This is the Silver King, Adam Silverstein, signing off and leaving you with just 3 final words. Bye for now.